grass cloth around a window. That's bad enough. But I'm hanging it around 2 windows. Take a look. Now you can really waste several $100s if you don't know how to splice grass cloth. Okay, so if you're new at it, you might think, well, I'll start this and I'll simply void this space on the grass cloth sheet. It's 36 inches wide, and I'll just cut around this. You'll go through a lot of wallpaper. If you have 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 5 such openings on this wall right here. Here's what I did. The first thing I hung was this piece. I used it from a scrap that I got from one of the walls. Okay, so I put my 9.5 inches in here, and I extended it 2 inches at the bottom and at the top. If you look here, you won't be able to see it, but it's spliced here. I spliced it. I cut right through the bottom piece and the top piece because you don't want to go through wall covering, $300 a roll, and waste large portions of it. Now you can see at the top what I did at the bottom. I went beyond my windows 2 inches. And so now I'm going to install 2 sheets atop these windows. But now the windows are more than 36 inches wide. My grass cloth roll is 36 inches wide. How do you do this? It didn't work out where I could just lay out my sheets and everything landed perfectly. It didn't work out like that. Plus, I would have wasted the square footage of this opening and this opening if I had done it in an amateur fashion. Remember, the rule for hanging wallpaper is how it looks in the end is what counts. It's not how you get there. So join me as I show you or share with you how to go around these windows without blowing half a roll of Abaca mist Phillip Jeffries grass cloth. So here's what we're going to do. We tape this off and we tape the other edge off. We're going to do double cuts. Okay, so I'm going to install my first sheet here, and 36 inches is going to bring me about to right here. And then I have to add 10 inches or so from the next piece. It was the best way to do it. Once you're confident in that, then you can make the decision to learn how to splice grass cloth. You have to do it with sharp blades. If you do it with a dull blade, or if you do it with a slow hand, or a hand that's too fast, while you're cutting through these strings, you could make it look like a torn piece of denim from your pants. You have to be very sharp and very precise. Okay. If you have a laser level, I suggest that you get rechargeable batteries. They always die when you need them. Okay, so we know this is going to be scrap right here, most of it anyway. Just take most of it off. Okay, so now I'll take my sheet. I got my ceiling protected, and I'm going to go right over there. Okay, my laser just shut off again. Now, so we're going to do our splice. There are little lines in the wall covering, and you can go along the line with your knife if you just watch closely. So now, the line that you make, if any, will resemble one of the lines in your wall covering, so that you won't have to deal with a splice line. Okay. Just zoom in on them, show them that. Okay. Now, okay, got this? Mm-hmm. If you know that this edge is straight, then you're just simply going by your judgment with your hand and your eyes, because you're just staying parallel with the edge. You don't always need a laser, but it's a good idea to have it. Okay. Okay, now we'll just do our last one and be done with it. But you won't have to use masking on every other type of wallpaper. You just do it with Grasscloth, because Grasscloth does not tolerate glue on it. Okay. Okay. Can I just have a laser line over here just to make sure my wallpaper is straight? We want to put it right on the edge of this wallpaper. Right here. Okay, to your left. Okay, right here is good. Right here. Okay, that's good.
Oh, way too much. There we go.
Okay. Okay, so have a sponge over there handy? Okay. And that's how you do it. So that's it. And so you save a lot of wallpaper by splicing it, if you can. And I suggest that you do if you can. Always run it by your customer, whether or not they're going to have an issue with seams that are not 36 inches apart. But when they find out that it might cost them upwards of $400, $500, they usually go with just put the seam where it lands. So when you're smoothing out grass cloth, it's a difficult wallpaper to install because it's so tedious. To get the glue on it, and then to keep the glue off of the front. Thirdly, to keep the glue off of the adjacent piece. It becomes very time consuming, and you must charge extra to install this because your helper has to know his wallpaper. You can't just have anybody helping you out. And I don't just say that, I mean it. Because if you get glue on this, it may come off, but it probably won't. And so I put tape here to protect my edge. Now, can you wipe down grass cloth? The answer is no. But yes, if you know how to do it. This is a very damp cloth. If you squeeze it, drips will not come out. It's just sufficiently damp. Because you got to keep your fingers clean of the glue so you don't get it on here. Forever wiping this. Now, can you wipe this down? Yeah. This is damp. Watch this. That is not going to hurt your grass cloth at all, even if moisture is getting on there. The problem is when you wet the fibers beneath this top surface. You'll know when you get used to doing this what's too much. So when you're doing your corner, you want to feel. You want to feel if you've pushed any glue out. Don't rush your seams with grass cloth. Some of you were thinking, why doesn't he use a roller? If I use a roller on this, first of all, I'm going to make a track mark. I'll show you on this side, so you don't think I'm fibbing. Watch this. Bring them in close to that track mark. Can they see this track mark? I'm going to get rid of it. Maybe they can't see it, but trust me, there's a track mark there. And if you put that on this seam, to get it out requires a possibility of getting glue on your adjacent sheet. The trick with the seams is that you don't load up the edges with glue. Secondly, you do your seams first, right away. Why? Because you didn't put a lot of glue there, it's going to dry. And before you can't move the wall covering anymore, you want this sufficiently wet so you can do this, what I'm about to do. Can you bring him in close? You see where I'm kind of overlapping it? Now I'm going to knock that down by doing this. I'm going to go that way. Why am I going that way? Because this paper's already set. This one is still has glue underneath it that's wet. So if I push glue this way, you know it's going to come out and wet it. Okay. Now, I take my smoother like a Christmas tree. Look at all these air pockets. Can you see that in your camera? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not going straight. I'm going down like a Christmas tree. From the center, over. Getting them out of the way, okay? I'm almost done with my seam. And then I'll let the good folks at home go. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can get on my other side because the seam action is what I really want to show them. Zoom in on that seam, please. Can everybody see this seam? It's more visible than this. This seam is done. But you might get confused while you're hanging this and say, well, what the heck? Why am I seeing my seam? Very easy to figure out. Take your smoother or something that will make a little noise when you do this. Watch this. Now you can't hear it because I can't either, but I can feel it. When I do this, I'm hitting a bump, which means this is higher than this, which means this has to move over. You could also use your fingers and say, what's going on here? You can feel this is a little raised, but you can't see it. It's almost imperceptible. Notice how I'm going with my smoother. I'm going that way, right? If it's overlapped here slightly by a 32nd of an inch, you want to push it this way. But you don't want to do it at a 90-degree angle here. You want to do it on a slant. Why is that? Because it'll leave the seam just up against the other. If I go like this, look, I don't want to do it. It'll move it too far away. And that's not what I want to do. We're talking about moving it just a hair. Okay? Okay, made fingerprints in it. Smooth that out. Almost done. Looking good. And that is my seam. Christmas tree swipes. Always wipe when you're pushing it off the edge. You could have glue on it. And there you have it, folks.
That's it. 12 by 15 is done.